Hey mommies, how are you? So I'm actually just about to start the video that I'm going to talk about nipple biting, and he starts nipple biting me. So that's kind of weird. Maybe he knew that I was going to talk about that. Hey mommies, how are you? So I just wanted to talk about something that I have been experiencing lately, and I have had other moms ask me about it too, which is nipple biting. And you don't really have to worry about that at the beginning, but when you start getting into that 4-month mark, 6-month mark, that's when you'll start noticing more. And the reason why is because there's a couple of things happening with your baby, which is they have started teething, most likely. That starts early around 3-month mark. So they're starting to, their gums feel a little bit inflamed and scratchy and itchy. So they're starting to drool, and they're starting to bite down on a lot of different stuff. And obviously your nipple is nice and soft and cushiony and warm, and milk comes out of it. So it's the perfect target. So so many moms, even before they start breastfeeding, they're like super concerned about nipple biting, and is it going to hurt? Is it going to be biting me all the time? Does that mean that I have to stop breastfeeding? Well, the first thing is no, you do not have to stop breastfeeding. It's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with your baby, and you just have to learn to deal with it. And it's just one of those things that happens when you're breastfeeding. So it's very normal, and obviously it happens because of the things that are happening with the baby's mouth, so it's very natural for them. And then it can also continue going on like after the 6-month mark, and that's because babies start to get really distracted when they're breastfeeding. So maybe they can get a little bit bored just being at the breast. Like before, they would be like really peaceful and suckling, and now they're like super active. So they want to bite you, they want to get your attention, they want to try something new. So that's other reasons for nipple biting too. So you just have to learn to deal with it. It does hurt a little bit, and it is a little bit uncomfortable, but it's just a case of learning to deal with it, just like you did at the beginning of breastfeeding, that it didn't really feel all that comfortable, and then slowly you start to get used to it and the sensation, and then baby learned how to suckle properly and how to latch on properly. So with biting, it's the same thing. But the first thing to realize is that you need to let baby know that it's not okay to nipple bite you, okay? We don't do that, and we're not gonna allow it, basically. So what you would do is the first time that it happens, obviously you're like, oh my God, he just bit me, and oh my God, you wanna scream maybe, or just latch him quickly. So your first thing is to react calmly. So, and don't scream. That's another thing people do, that they want to like make a command like no, or you do not bite Bobby, or whatever, you know. So that's not really the best way to react, because the baby's going to be kind of a little bit amused by your reaction. So he's going to test you, and he's probably going to do it more often. So the first thing to do is unlatch the baby off. So the best way to unlatch is kind of like to do this, and the nipple's going to come out, or stick your finger in the mouth like this, and it should just pop out to the nipple, and just kind of look at the baby and say the baby's name. In this case, Isaac. We're not going to nipple bite, okay? That's going to hurt mom. So something like that, just stern, okay? You may not think baby understands, but baby's going to acknowledge that it's not right. So that's the first thing to do. Do not shout or scream. That's only going to get baby's attention. Another trick you can do is when the baby is actually latching and suckling, you can just press the baby's nose. So it's going to cut the breathing to the baby, and automatically, instinctively, he's going to let go, okay? That's if he's like really biting down and you can't get the nipple out. So that's one trick to do that usually works also. And then just every time the baby does it, unlatch him so that he understands that if we bite mom's nipple, you're not going to get any milk. So if you do this consistently a few times, and it's going to avoid that happening in the future. Something else you can do too is, like I said, they tend to get a little bit bored or distracted. So make sure that if you see you know, your baby getting like that, like he's kind of looking his head everywhere, and your nipples like being stretched in all directions, get something for him to, you know, distract him a little bit, so he's not so much focused on biting your nipple, but on something else. So maybe like my top here has this little thingy, so he's distracted pulling them, or one of those teething necklaces or something, or a little tassel or something like that, or a little toy. So he's focused on that rather than experimenting and biting with your nipples. So that's, look, he's doing it exactly now. So that's something else you can do. And then just try that, try different things, but like I said, don't panic. And also you don't want to make it like a traumatic experience, like, oh my God, you just bit me, and like, you know, get really upset about it, because that's gonna cause like a kind of like a traumatic effect for the baby. So just think about your reaction, be prepared for it too. You know that it's gonna happen around that 3-month mark or after that. All babies do it, it's really normal, there's nothing wrong with the baby. And also try different things to help with the biting, with the inflamed gums. So you can try like one of those amber necklaces. I've talked about those before. Lots of teething rings and things like that for the baby. Try and avoid things like Tylenol or like those numbing gels and things like that. The Tylenol obviously works. It will help reduce the pain, but babies need to get used to that pain, because they're going to be teething for a while. So the more they get accustomed to dealing with that pain, the better it is. I would only give Tylenol in extreme cases and in the case that your pediatrician recommends it. And in regards to those teething gels, that's really bad. That numbs the tongue and the whole mouth also, so it becomes frustrating, because then they can't latch on properly to nurse. So try and avoid things like that, okay? And I'd love to hear your comments if there's anything that how worked for you when baby was biting down on your nipples and things like that. How did you deal with it? It is super normal. Don't worry about it and don't freak out about it. And I'll put a link there about those amber necklaces, because they really work for me. I've done a couple of videos on that before, so check those out. They have some amazing natural benefits. And I personally feel that they've really worked. I've tried it with both of mine, and it made a huge difference, okay? So don't panic, Mom. Don't stress out. It's normal. It's a phase, and they will get over it, okay? It's not the end of your journey. It's just a little hurdle or a little bump along the journey. Bye.